Bind is back in competitive Valorant, and it looks a little different than last time. With new characters, map changes, and agent balance changes, there is a lot that's different since the last time Bind was in pro play. So let's break down how pros are playing Bind in this new meta. Alright, let's jump into this, starting with what agents are being played. First off, there are 3 agents that are seeing play in basically every team's lineups. Those are Raze for her explosive entry ability and the narrow corners amplifying her boombot's power. In addition, her nade lets her stop players from playing in many common spots on B site, such as backsite and cubby. Overall, she offers more than any other duelist on the map, and so everyone plays her. Next up, Skye. Skye is one of those characters that can just generate extreme amounts of value. Her flashes are great for pushing out of a smoked hookah or just pushing any of the obvious choke points that always get smoked off in a bind game. Plus, her wolf makes clearing showers and hookah a breeze. Wait, that map isn't in the game anymore. Either way, lastly, Viper sees play in every team comp due to her extremely powerful wall that was introduced thanks to the new teleport location. Her walls create a devastating defense and can easily shut down pushes. After that, Sage is the next most common agent played on the map. She's an overall powerful character, and when you add her and Skye together, the team has a ton of durability. In addition, her wall is extra powerful, with Bind being a narrow hallway simulator a lot of the time. Finally, the last slot is one that changes. However, there's one thing that stays pretty consistent about it. It's normally a controller. Many teams are running either Brimstone or Harbor in this slot, and this is really what the meta has turned into. Double controllers are incredibly powerful, and running both Harbor and Viper is more and more meta with each tournament that passes. So whether you run Harbor or Brimstone is really up to you. But personally, I think Brimstone plus Viper is a really well-grounded combo, but I feel that Harbor plus Viper is probably more powerful in the right hand, so do with that what you will. So running it back, the most common team comp used by pros on new Bind is Raze, Skye, Viper, Sage, and then either a Brimstone or a Harbor. However, agents don't mean anything if they aren't being used correctly, so what should you be doing with said agents? Let's talk about it, starting with offense. Offense is pretty simple. Viper typically puts down this wall on A site to allow for easy pushes into U-Haul, and the ability to explode onto site from multiple angles rather than just one main choke point. Typically, this wall would go down every round, whether teams would be using it or not. And that's really the power of having a Harbor or Brimstone or just a second controller, is that they can handle the util for after the wall is used or if you go to another site. By doing this, you can deny the defenders any real intel based purely on your wall, but still have the advantage of having that wall go up almost instantly as you need it. Brimstone or Harbor will typically use their util for pushing whichever site the team ends up on. For B, smokes or a bent wall that covers CT and elbow are key, and for A, smoking heaven is the main thing you need to do, with other smokes being able to block off angles like next to truck or triple, and further back on CT depending on the situation. Raze will be the first one in, as duelists should be. However, if you are pushing B, nading backside or cubby is really powerful, pushing enemies out of spots that are very powerful to hold. For A, her nade can be used outside of U-Haul to stop enemies from getting easy kills on your team while they're dealing with heaven or backside in that initial push. Sage is played pretty traditionally, without any hugely important util pieces that are consistently used in the same way. Just put down walls on angles like elbow, or use this wall that splits site on B to make planting a little bit easier in tougher situations. For Skye, her wolf is her most important asset on attack, allowing teams to get control of hookah and showers easily, stopping ratty strategies and shotguns that thrive in these locations. In addition, her flashes should be used to get past the army of smokes, walls, and other vision blocking devices from the double controller meta, especially for pushing out of hookah where you literally have to jump onto site. That's a basic overview of offense. Let's move on to defense, which is also pretty simple, but some agents have a pretty particular job or powerful thing that they should be doing every round. The most obvious of these is the new Viper wall that was enabled by the relocation of Teleporter closer up to showers. By doing this wall, you can defend hookah, long, and give your team the ability to push up showers with little risk, all with one ability. This leaves only one choke point on the entire map that isn't covered by just Viper's wall. But that's where the other controllers come in. For the Brimstone or Harbor players, putting up walls as Viper's wall goes on cooldown or covering the A main choke point is very valuable, and if done right, can leave choke points smoked off for almost the entire round. Outside of controllers, there isn't a ton that needs to be done by the other 3 agents. Sage has some useful walls, like this one on B long or this one on hookah. However, typically you'll want to focus your efforts with your walls and slows on where your defense is weakest, which is often A main due to the lack of Viper utility. Raze and Skye play the map in a pretty basic way. You can use their abilities to get early intel, with many teams using a Skye flash down B long early for some information, since the ability can then immediately go on cooldown and start recharging. This is actually really powerful. Since the double controller often leads to a delayed push, you'll often get back your flash before you need to retake or stop a push, which is essentially a free ability a lot of the time. In terms of Raze, her nade is really deadly in hookah, and so playing B is highly recommended. However, she is great most places and can get information with her boombot if you are wanting to be a little bit more aggressive. Overall, Raze just plays Bind like any other map when it comes to defense, really only getting to shine a ton in retake situations. And that's the basics. Who you play, how to play them, but what do the rounds typically look like? Well, the most important thing to know is that Bind is pretty heavily offensive sided right now, with about a 4 to 5% higher win rate on offense over defense. Keep that in mind when you pick out your team comp, as Harbor is a little bit more aggressive and will make offense a little easier, and Brimstone can often help you defend with his smokes lasting a whole 20 seconds. So which one you pick may be up to what you feel your team is weakest at. Alright, so that's Bind. Well, that's what the pros are doing. You can use a lot of these same things in your games. We're not going to necessarily look at round by round breakdowns of what people are doing because pro games are so different than the ranked experience, but looking at the agents that are very powerful and the key pieces of utility they're using can transfer to most games, and that's why I focus this video on it. If you guys have any questions about anything, leave them in the comments down below, and if you want to see more content like this covering other maps and just covering more pro play in general, leave those in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.